Maboyka, maboyka atiauno kina atuno. Um, Peace and blessings, greetings, Rahubat, Shalom, all them good greetings to everyone. Here I am. Let me get on camera. Excuse me. Still got a lot of stuff going on. Anyway, all in blessings to you. All in blessings. Once again, I am Crown Ambassador, the African Royal Kingdom Crown Ambassador, Silos Pongas, and also your kin, your brother, you know what I'm saying? Wanted to speak about certain things that, we experience, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I've been going on the YouTube and visiting certain sites. And again, I went in on the Lion's Den because I have a little time on my hands. So I went in and did that. Took a little break from writing and stuff like that. But anyway, very interesting conversation, which I'm going to get into, which I'm going to expound a little bit on it. And things that I observe, saying things that I reason out, things that I observe. This is in no way a shot at anybody, because everybody has the right to believe, what they want to believe, you know what I'm saying? And everybody has the right to research, to get to know, investigate something. And then the reason why I named this Different Strokes is because to put it very, very simple, people carry brushes of their own and they stroke everything. For instance, if I'm an Israelite, you know what I'm saying, and that's my school of thought, so everything I see, everything that I research, I'm going to try to look for something that's going to confirm my ideas and concept, my belief, my culture that I want to practice, you know what I'm saying? And so this perspective, this stroke, so everything that they acquire from research, everything they acquire, they're going to see it and they're going to paint it Israel, you know what I'm saying? I'll give you a perfect example. So when you look at the proto Hebraic script, or Aramaic scripts, and you go into and you look at those glyphs, right? Not the one that you see in today's day and time with the Judaism. That script came later on. I'll give you the sources for that. But the original scripts were Aramaic scripts, you know what I'm saying? Were what they call Nubic scripts, you know what I'm saying? And when you go out into artifacts and you go into different cultures, especially in Africa, all around the world, and you see these scripts, you immediately gonna say, those are scripts Aramaic. Those are scripts that Israelis were here. We were here. The Israelites were here, but not also considering that these same script that you're speaking about, the Asiatic script, the different scripts. I wish I could pull it up. As a matter of fact, I can. You see, it's in the background. Yeah, it's in my background. Let me see what I can do here. So you see a lot of scripts, you know what I'm saying? And so these scripts also you find in Mande scripts. You find them in Bai scripts. When you study linguistics and you study different letters, you find that these glyphs are Punic scripts, and these glyphs were scattered. So you have to also look at the migration of people. You can't say that those scripts exist in Mali because the Israelites went to Mali and left their scripts in Mali. No, you have to follow the migration. You know what I'm saying? Originally, where did those scripts appear? Where was it first originated? And then when it migrated out and certain groups acquired those scripts, you know what I'm saying? And it was similar to the scripts that originally were from another part of a landmass. You know what I'm saying? So you have to follow. So this is what I mean. So when you find these scripts in Cherokee, you find these scripts all over, immediately they paint that brush and say, because The Israelites. The Israelite travel through Mexico. Israelites. So they paint they use in their palette, they just have the brush and they paint everything Israelite. Same thing with people that says with Islamic. Same thing they do with those scripts. You know what I'm saying? They find those scripts. You know, now again, that's stroking, that's using that brush, your perspective. You have every right, but that's just one perspective, and we have to be careful when we do that. We have to be very, very careful. Yes, the school of Israel, Judaism, and the Aramic scripts and all that were scripts that were found, that migrated into Africa. You know what I'm saying? Especially into the Nile Valley, Elephantine, and up to the Kemet. So yeah, you do find people migrating in, but that's on the time period. You have to be very considerate of the time period. Prior to that, there was a migration out of the Congo Basin and what they call also the Green Sahara, and they had scripts. You know what I'm saying? And there was a migration out into these areas that we call Mesopotamia or Sumer, you know what I'm saying, Babylon, and you know what I'm saying, these hunter-gatherers travel out, and yes, these glyphs, they brought with them certain glyphs and also developed new glyphs at the area where they migrated to. So we have to be very careful with that. We got to look at the time sequence. So yesterday at the Lions Den, I let the brother speak. Good, very intelligent brother. Shout out to Zion. You know, very intelligent, has a lot of information. But you can carry a lot of knowledge and a lot of information, but then there comes to a point where you have to stand over it, reason it out, and stand to reason it. Right? And once you look at all this knowledge and you reason it out, right? Honest, with integrity and honesty, and put the pieces together, then you experience. You call what with your imagination. What you do is you build on that and you experiment with that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you know, it's very, you know, it's a skill. It's a skill what they call sound or correct, sound. It's sound correct type of reasoning. And when you do sound reasoning, you have to take into consideration deductive reasoning, inductive reasoning. You also have to put it on paper and you have to graph it out. You know what I'm saying? Remember, you have to put those pieces together and you can graph out certain concepts, right? And to see if it's logical, does it stand the test? That's experimentation. And then experience it. You know what I'm saying? Let me see the comment here. My brother, Robert, I missed your call. Hansu, I'll call you later on. Yeah, I missed your call. Papi, I'm sorry. I had a lot of things going on in the house. Remember, I got a 2-year-old around me, so I said, she's taking a nap right now. So I said, let me sneak into the room over here and do a live, you know, so speak about this. So again, you know, even with the Moorish paradigm and stuff like that, you know, everybody want to paint the picture, you know what I'm saying, you know, and if you're going to do that, have a palette with many different schools of thought and see if it matches up. If it's something that you imagine, it can create something beneficial, and thus it all matches up. You know what I'm saying? You know, and a shout out to also Prince Amun. You know what I'm saying? He made a great quote. He said, "It's not what's right. It's what survived. At the end of the day, it's what's gonna survive." And we as a people, you know, right now we're displaced, and we picked up an English, the language of the Angles, what they call it, Anglo-Saxon language, and some Spanish and stuff. And then there are those that made the initiative and wanted to study other languages. You know what I'm saying? I have a brother that gave me the Sumerian glyphs. You know what I'm saying? And that's another cuneiform, ancient ancient glyphs, and some are metaneta, also the Sabaean script, languages, and Arabic. I studied Arabic for many years. You know what I'm saying? I studied Arabic Fusa, which is a classical type of Arabic. And people that make the effort to want to expand. It's called expanding yourself, your knowledge, because language is the key. You see, because through language, you can see, through linguistics, you can also see data. I'm talking on consciousness. You see, sound carry consciousness, just like light also can have consciousness, can affect your conscious, your awareness. So the sound also. So when you see these different sound languages, it carry a specific amount of a conscious awareness. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's important to learn many different languages and try to put things together, which I love. That's one thing that the brother mentioned. Also Zion at the lines then also mentioned about, in Spanish they say oh hombre, and it's for the H-O for hominin, or hombre, or homo sapiens sapien. So the conversation could go many different ways. And when you say, and just to throw this out there, when you say homo sapiens sapien, and other language, you sapien, you also hear the word sapo. What is a sapo? A toad, a frog coming out of the water. Okay? Homo sapiens sapiens coming out of the water. Sapo, sapiens, sapo. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's important to know certain languages, because when you study the English language and you go into the dictionary and you study etymology, you get to see that a lot of these words come from other languages. And so you have to put these pieces together as to create this awareness, definitions and explanations, so you can establish that reality. You see, I didn't want to really get into it with Zion, even though I agree with some of it. Some of what he was saying, I was okay. You know what I'm saying? I acknowledge also the Emperor Haile Selassie at that time, because I know how empire, and emperors, and those houses, how the protocols, and I know that because I'm studying that as a crown ambassador. You know what I'm saying? I'm studying. It's like the Empress of Sheba, or Saba, right? The Yemeni line, right? The Solomonic Yemeni line of the Empress of Sheba, coming from Sudan, Saba, also into Yemen. And the Empress, how she was coronated by, in conjunction with the African Union, put out the agenda, the initiative to put all of these chiefs and tribes and chiefs and kings and queens and emperors together, the Federation of the South, the way they did it with the Ma Federation, when they came together, hunter-gatherers came together, different houses, different families came together to establish a society, a house, and then put out the agenda. So I study that. So I know about the Empress Haile Selassie and what house he came from, and what he was accomplishing over there in Ethiopia, and that line, the Solomonic line. That's the Solomonic line, and that Solomonic line also broke up. You know what I'm saying? And broke up and spread into the Sabaeans, and married in that, with Sheba, Makeda. When you read that story. And so these are houses, right? Houses of nobility, and houses that marry, they intertwine, they amalgamate, they marry. And so there comes to a time when one is born with the capability of ascending to the throne, giving the throne, and become emperor. And so they're the representative, and they put out different agendas. Right now, the Empress of Sheba, we have the agenda of the Phoenix Project Phoenix, Project Phoenix 7, and that project is the agenda, and that project is specifically geared to uplift, you know what I'm saying, to discuss certain areas, industry, to uplift Africa, Mother Africa, because it's like we take care of the mother first, and we get that, and then the rest of the aspirate. It's about Africa in that sense, and those houses, those lines, because those houses are responsible for a lot of raw materials. raw material. And a lot of times they married to European houses, you know what I'm saying? Like the House of Harrisburg, the House of Gluck, the House of Roosevelt. A lot of times they marry into, these African chiefs and houses. A lot of times there's marriages because it's business at the end of the day. They don't marry just for love. And they're married to extend the dynasty and to extend the business because they are responsible or they have control of certain raw materials in Africa. These houses have industry and they're invested in that. Some houses are invested in diamond and gold. Some houses are invested in many different things. Now with the House of Sheba, it started out, they were invested a lot in the cocoa. The cocoa coming out of Ghana and Trinidad. The cocoa was something that they harvest, when you read up about the Empress of Sheba and her family line, through her mother, her father, and that house, their raw material was the cocoa. And other agriculture. They were very agricultural people, and that spread into Trinidad. They migrated to Trinidad to manufacture and control that industry of the cocoa in Trinidad. So you have many different Rahubat Salim. So these are houses. So when you understand that, the Empress Haile Selassie was an emperor in Ethiopia. He's responsible for the raw material in Ethiopia. I don't know. I have to research a little more. And there was some political agendas that he was involved with, to expand his dynasty, to expand. I don't know who is the standing emperor right now, but all I know is that the chiefs and the emperors of Ethiopia and Sudan, all these chiefs have gotten together because the African Union makes sure that they were able to reach out and put these chiefs together in these tribes and give them a format so they can voice their concern about the changing in what's changing in Africa, and what's the environment changing and all of the to discuss summit. So every Monday we sit at the summit. We just finished a good 21 summits of the agriculture of learning, educating a lot of African countries and villages about hydroponic and there are many different type of agricultural and skills, industries, and techniques that can be implemented depending because of the environment they're at. In other words, to help with hunger, to help and also to thrive when it comes to agriculture, because you have a land mass that is very forestry that is very very beneficial when it comes to growing certain things. So we wanted to make sure that these villages are growing and the children are eating correctly and getting the right education and just giving them certain fourth industrial revolution techniques and what's being discussed so that we don't miss out. You know what I'm saying? In other words, we had the mechanical industrial revolution, right? And the oil and stuff. And you had houses that it was invested in the oils in Dubai, in Saudi Arabia, in Iraq and Iran. These are houses, families that control certain industry. So, and then the mechanical, the car, like the house, the Ford foundations became, married into the houses, maybe of Rosenthal. You never know. You just got to look at the way marriage is taking place, and you can if you're interested in that, you could just investigate that, and you get to see how a lot of these industries are run by certain families and houses and families. You know what I'm saying? And it's just the way they do things. You know what I'm saying? And it's the way that has been done since ancient time. It's the way that it was done since ancient time. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm of the African royal kingdom. I am of that house, of the Sabic house. You know what I'm saying? And so, there's just so much to discuss about that. But yes, so again, the discussion here is again where we sometimes we have a brush, a perspective, a brush, and everything that we research, we want to paint it. You see, that's why I try to carry a palette of many different brushes. Okay, I could brush this Israel. I could brush this Islam. I could brush this Christianity. I can use many different in the palette and my imagination and brushing and put it together. Because that's being a polypath. And that's putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. And that's being a mystic. You see? Because at the core of the mystic teaching is what? Universal unconditional caring. That's being taught in every school of thought. There's always that universal unconditional caring. You see, that's okay, and that's the lotus. That's symbolic. Our like for the house of Yanin, our symbol is the lotus. You know what I'm saying? Because again, out of that conditions, that mud, that conditions, we flourish into something beautiful. You know what I'm saying? And that's a different walk. That's the walk of the mystics. If you read the story of Hidra and Musa, you also check out the movie Circle of Iron, you know, Bruce Lee penned Circle of Iron. Those about mystic teachings, you know what I'm saying? And so, you know, and also a brother made a comment, and yes, I read everything and it doesn't pass me. Oh, here we go with the movie thing again. Let me tell you about movies, scripts. These movie scripts don't come out of thin air. A lot of these writers, like myself, script writer, you take story, actual stories, documentation stories. You just embellish it. Excuse me. You just embellish it. So if you stand to reason how script works and how character grid works and how in these movies, so you have a lot of people that have the skill of decoding certain movies because they can see where the story come from, and they can see the hidden story behind it. There's always when you do script writing, there's always an emotional story. There's an actual story. There's an emotional story. There is a hidden story in there that if you are aware and you have that skill, you can discern it. You know, so I don't see movies the same way like everybody else. I broke out The Godfather, how that deals with the changes of Judaism to Christianity to Islam. I did that. You gotta check out that podcast, and I broke it down. Andolini, the traveling, and then the new Godfather, and then at the end, the thief, which was the third Godfather. Hold on a second. My son telling me there's a bunch of cops outside and telling me, are they knocking at the door? Are they over here? No, don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? But you know, yeah, I broke that down, and also you know what I'm saying? and you know, and so yeah, you could, if you know what you, so I use sometimes movies, those scripts as an example, just to give an example to say, consider this, you know what I'm saying? This is what has been done. And there's a possibility that it's a skill. It's also been done with certain things that we read, for instance, the Bible. Everybody talk about Josephus, right? Josephus was an historian. He was a writer. And they say, well, yeah, but what about the Acts of the Israelites when he wrote that? But check that out. He wrote it and it's in chapters. So he wrote it as a what? As a literal script, right? Chapters. When you go into biblical, what do you have? Chapters and verses. And then when you go into the New Testament, you got Acts, Act 1, Act 2. You know what I'm saying? So it's not so far-fetched. Scripture. You know what I'm saying? We're dealing with a script. We're dealing with a story. And a lot of times historians can take other documentations, other books that they research and put it into their script. You know what I'm saying? It's not so far-fetched, y'all. You know what I'm saying? So you know, shout out to the brothers in there. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's not about being right at all. It's what's being honest and integrity. You know what I'm saying? And it's about also coming to that reality. You know what I'm saying? You know, if you have to define words. I don't care what anybody says. You have to define and explain, what do you mean? How do you define it? How do you see it? What's your perspective of it? And let's see if we can develop this affinity, this likeness, because then we can communicate. You can only communicate when you have that affinity and you establish that reality. And a lot of time that is through definitions. We investigate the definition and explanations and then see, does this reason out? You know, are you capable of doing inductive reasoning or reasoning things out and putting it on paper? Are you capable of doing this? Do you take the time to do this? Because I think that's very, very, very important. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're going to be spreading out these narratives out there, you know what I'm saying? And, all you're doing is regurgitating and perpetuating, lies, shadows, which is okay. I mean, if you know how to put these lies together, and because in order for you to tell a lie, you got to know the truth. You know what I'm saying? So if you take a bunch of lies, it's between it's fractionalized. It's fraction, right? The pieces of it, fraction. They give you little pieces there, right? But when you put it all together, then you arrive at a truth. And the truth is exactly that. When you define it, it's all the pieces fitting perfectly together, like a puzzle. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, very intelligent people out there. A lot of people also dealing with their cults. And like, again, everything that they see, they read the Bible, they read this, they read that, and they're going to paint it with the brush of the occult. The dark side. They're going to paint it that. Because that's their perspective. And then you got to understand, okay, that's your perspective. That's your brush. That's your perspective. But let me see if I can add on to this painting. Let me see if I can, with my imagination, let's see if I can brush something that's gonna enhance what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna give you another perspective, so we can keep this communication thing open. You know what I'm saying? Then we can have this communication, common unity. When you look at the word communication, common unification, right? In order to do that, you know what I'm saying? You gotta allow me to use my brush to see what can I, you know what I'm saying? It's like we're working on a painting together. You brushing it like this, and I'm adding these pieces to it. I'm adding this, and then when we look at it, we're saying, "Oh, this is a work of art." You know what I'm saying? That's just a way of looking at things. You know what I'm saying? That's just another way. Well, anyway, I thank everybody for coming on here, and I just wanted to come on here real quickly. Let me see what's going on. Be nosy. Oh, there's a lot of cops out there. Yeah, there is. It's all right. That has nothing to do with me. But anyway, it's again, I'm getting my notes together so I can do some sharing and put up some actual things on the screen, like I did before when I used to have when my laptop was working. Hope to get that again soon. Working, but I'm working on some stuff. I got to do it all on this desktop, so I got to get information, put it on here so that I can share the screen and stuff like that. And so now I'm gonna do a little introduction to what I want to speak about, and I spoke about a little bit about arts faculty, how important are arts, you know what I'm saying? And again, I mentioned about the brushes, art. When you have a piece of how art is so important to culture. When you look at many cultures, you also see art. Art is an expression, a foundness for an expression of beauty, art, right? And it's that expression. And so that is very, very important when you engage yourself in art. And you look at the art of many different cultures. So, and remember culture, let me put it here. We already had discussed how culture, right? You have cult, right? For what? For upper cultivation. Let's do that. Okay. For cultivation. See that? Cultivation. Then the suffix, right? which is the all right, yeah. Sure. Right? Put it together. Right? Sure. For what? Yeah. For nature. Right? And when we put it together, we have this. Culture. The cultivating of what? The cultivating of nature. And what is nature? I always said it. Nature is a condition. Remember, I always use the example of the bag, and you put the bread in the bag and you sprinkle moisture in and you close it. And then what happens? A mold grows. Mold. Organism starts growing out of this condition that you gave it. So that's what nature is. It's a condition. So when you cultivate a condition, so let's say you put in a condition that you're in a desert, the conditions is very dry, a lot of sand, right? So you cultivate that condition, right? You're going to express that condition, that then you have tents because it protects you from the sand. You have tents, right? You also build your mortar from the conditions from the environment. So your edifice, your building blocks are different. The tones are different. So you see in Timbuktu, the tones are different. You have you know what I'm saying? Those conditions is a cultural expression. And then because it's so hot in the desert, they're wrapping their body, right? And they're dressing in white to reflect. You know what I'm saying? It's a condition. And that's culture. That's their culture. They're cultivating the particular. If you look at somebody from the island, you know, with the many flowers and stuff, next thing you know, their prints, what they wear is flowery. And they say, man, you could, where's all these flowers you wear? You know, and the women with the flower in their hair, flower, and the flower colors. In the island, you see a lot of flowers because the conditions, it's their culture. You look at Hawaii, it's their culture. They're reflecting their conditions that they're in. They're cultivating that condition. That's culture. You know what I'm saying? True culture is the conditions, right, of putting things together. Is that condition of examining and putting these pieces together. You know, that's true culture. And we're going to discuss that later on and so. But anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. Just wanted to break that down. That's the introduction to culture. We'll probably go into many different cultures, and also arts. Arts is the affinity. The arts is the expression of a particular culture. You know what I'm saying? And an expression of moods, emotional moods, and again the conditions, those conditions of that person's express. Those conditions also can be feelings and emotions, energy, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, with all that being said, hey, all them blessings, thank you very much. And I'll be with you in a day or so. Peace.